Hey guys, and welcome back to the M&M update with myself, AJ Morris, and on the other end of the line, Tiny M, Vicky
Tiny
Masita,
M.
who's
But
it?
today Tiny M is a panda.
Yeah, I was
If
just
you're
about
on if you're watching on
to say
YouTube,
that.
check this out.
She's sporting a very nice panda jumper, which of
Yes.
course now will be sold out in most stores as a result of the high influx of listeners going to purchase one. Um,
Exactly. Need a
but yeah,
panda.
guys, we hope you're well. We hope you had a good festive period because we haven't checked in a while. A few of you, very clued up story watchers, saw my power list this morning, which is a book where I write down sort of my 5 things that I have to get done every single morning, which highly recommend it. So I listened to a podcast with Andy Frisella and John Gorman, who runs like First Form Nutrition and things like that. He's basically like a fitnessy old entrepreneur guy, and Andy Frisella is killer as well. He's sick. And they were talking about this power list. So I've started implementing it. It's very good. You basically write down, like I said, before you go to bed, 5 things that you've got to crush in the morning. And then the aim is to wake up and just get those 5 things out of the way, and then you can just continue with your day with the other smaller tasks that you've got to get done. But yeah, some of you saw that I had podcasts with Vicky on my power list this morning, so you were all obviously buzzing for that.
Of course.
Um, so in terms of where we've been, obviously we've had the Christmas period. We hope you all had a good Christmas. We hope that you had a good New Year and you're obviously ready to crack into 2018, whether you're competing, whether you're sort of spending 2018 in an off season like myself. We hope that you're all set up and ready to go. So in terms of a brief update on where I'm at, obviously I spent the Christmas period sort of kind of in a interlude as to whether I was gonna I wasn't really pushing my body weight up that much because of the sort of the irregularity in eating patterns, and also having a few days where I couldn't train as effectively as I wanted due to sort of time issues and things like that. So I sort of kind of maintained my body weight over Christmas, which was quite cool because in previous Christmases I certainly haven't.
No, you
Um,
haven't.
so it goes to show that my sort of relationship with food is okay, and I, I certainly overate on Christmas, but I didn't feel bad at all. I felt like I felt like I overate in a time window. I didn't necessarily eat tons of calories. I just had one like this time window between lunch and like 6 p.m. where I ate a lot of food, and therefore I couldn't eat that much because I was like I crammed in so many Brussels sprouts. I was like done. my
Uh,
my
and you're not used to it as well, are you?
stomach
So
was
like
done in.
well, that's it. I mean, we're used to eating like 5, 6 times a day. So all of a sudden you put in all of this huge amount of food in a
And odd
smaller
food
eating
as
window.
well.
Yeah, exactly. You're just going to feel a little bit more bloated and the fact that you can't eat as much. So I was exactly the same. I actually lost weight over Christmas, but my weight's ridiculous anyway, and everybody knows that by now. I mean, I literally look at a treadmill or something and I can lose weight. It's ridiculous.
Mm,
But yeah, I mean, I did the same. I just had a light breakfast. I had an omelette in the morning with some veggies. I had a protein shake later on, and then I had sat down and had my meal. But like you said, between 2 and 6, I ate a lot of food. And then we always have like cheese and biscuits and salad and stuff like that that comes out of a night time. Although I was gutted this year because they brought out pork pies.
fuck that.
I was like, no, I can't have pork pies. That's just ridiculous.
I pretty much shifted through an entire cranberry, cashew, and raisin bloomer, which is
Nice.
the most unreal bread I've ever tasted. I had one slice of it and it was game over. The entire bloomer was gone.
That's
Um,
amazing.
so
That's almost as bad as like
it's
your Belvita breakfast biscuit challenge
yeah,
thing.
yeah, it was pretty much. But yeah, that was probably the best part of my Christmas was that bloomer, and the rest was okay. At the end of the day, it's just turkey, so it was all right.
Yeah.
And then yeah, coming out of that, it was sort of like so my calories over that period were around about 3,500. I was roughly maintaining my body weight on that sort of calorie intake. And now I'm sort of auto-regulating between 3,800 and 4,000. Like yesterday, I had 4,000, and I just felt like the need for it was there. I had a sick upper body session. I was hungry, like massively hungry afterwards, massively hungry pre-bed. So yeah, just basically like auto-regulating. putting my body in a position where I can listen to the amount that I potentially need. But I'm still at a point where and I may make a video on this in the future. I'm not fully satiated. I don't think that for most people that maintain good body composition over the course of an off season, you probably won't hit a point where you're necessarily force feeding. Because if you've got that at least some element of good hunger levels, it's probably a sign that your things like blood glucose are in good check. Your body fat levels in a good place because you're feeling like you can eat food, utilize food, and get onto your next meal. Like every time I've forced my body weight up to a point where I'm stuffed, I look like shit.
Yeah.
So if you're feeling like really bloated and stuffed, it's potentially a sign that something is not going too well. It's either digestion related or body comp related usually, but there's some people out there that really struggle to gain weight and stay lean and have to stuff down food, but I think they're few and far between, if I'm honest, that actually report their intake correctly. But yeah, that's where I'm at. Little brief update on me. Training's going amazing. Lift progressions are like every session at the moment, and I've changed over to an upper lower split, which I'm really enjoying, and I'll potentially document that a little bit further on my YouTube soon, because I've got a lot of questions. So I'm thinking of either putting together like a YouTube video, a couple of YouTube videos, or like some form of ebook on how to set up a upper lower split, because yeah, the questions are coming in thick and fast, and I think it would be good to just send some people to some place to get them all answered.
Yeah, definitely.
So what about yourself, Vicky? Sort of like after Christmas, how's the recovery going from the op, and sort of how are you feeling about everything?
Yeah, okay. So after Christmas, I have to say this Christmas was the best Christmas that I've had in the last kind of 3 years. Because like we mentioned before Christmas, in 2015 when I was in prep, goodness me, AJ, you nearly sucked me in through the computer then. Wow. AJ literally just did like this massive silent yawn. It was very funny. I felt like I was being sucked in. Anyway,
you're yawning a bit now. It's contagious.
I know, yeah, it is. You have this like sympathy yawn, don't you?
Yeah.
That's it. We've just created a Mexican yawn throughout everybody who's listening now.
Yeah, we have.
Anyway, moving swiftly on. So yeah, this was the best Christmas because in 2015, I felt like I was really restricted and I was doing burpees in the bathroom and things like that. Then in 2016, I binged because I wasn't on prep. So it was one extreme to the other. So this Christmas just gone, I set myself a mini goal to literally just be a normal person. And a normal person I was, you know, I didn't starve myself for 3 days. I didn't starve myself in the morning. I just ate as normal. And I was obviously recovering as well. So from there, like we've just mentioned, I had a minimal breakfast or a nice breakfast, a light one, a protein shake, and then just ate normally. And I didn't feel like I had to binge. I didn't feel like I had to restrict myself, and it was really lovely. So did that on New Year's Eve. We didn't really do a lot, although I did have a glass of champagne with my lovely husband because we haven't done that in a very long time. So I had that, and I had some special AJ chocolate that he very kindly brought me back from Prague for Christmas. So, you know, presents by AJ.
Trying to get some weight on Vicky.
I know, yeah. It's not helping.
Calorie density.
Calorie density, honestly, 20 grams of that chocolate, calorie dense. Amazing. Yeah. So we had, some little tidbits and things like that, which was really lovely. So moving straight back out to it, I'm back into training now. Recovery is going very, very well. I'm hitting lower sessions twice a week, which I hit them really hard as well. And I'm glad about that. So I did my first set of safety bar squats yesterday. I can't still put a barbell on my back properly because I can't have that full stretch across my chest.
Yeah.
So I've got a safety bar that I use, and I actually managed to get up to 3 hard sets of 8 nice. with 60 kilos.
That's good on a safety bar.
Not bad, eh? With a 3-second eccentric, a second in the hole, and then obviously a power up. And then I did my final 4th set as a drop set, which was more like a challenge set, and just kind of took 10 kilos off each drop and just did 8 reps on those. So I was
Awesome.
really chuffed with that, and my legs are in bits, which is awesome because I've
Mm.
missed feeling those DOMs. And I do an upper body session twice a week as well, but I only really do arms. I can't do shoulders. I can't do chest, and I only just did 2 exercises on back today just to kind of get that feeling back to moving it. And even though I only did like 2 sets of 2 separate exercises on back today, very, very light, I just held the contraction and my back is sore now.
Good.
So, but if you don't train something for a month and then you just go in and really isolate it and
You'll
really
resensitize massively. That's why desensitizing your training a little bit in some phases like deloads is really fucking cool, because you can go in and do much less and get a giant response.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's
so that's
about
cool.
smart training, isn't it? I mean, I put a post up on that today about going to failure and about being smart in your training rather than lifting with your ego or ego training as such, because I know where my limits are at the moment. So
Yes.
even though I still had reps in the tank, I still pushed myself with the intensity that I felt was adequate for me at this stage in recovery, especially doing an upper body session. So again, like yourself, I'm going to be doing a little bit of a blog or like a free download on something to do with boobs and bodybuilding.
Oh, great.
And
That's
if you're
cool.
going to be having them and what to look out for and signs and symptoms of what's normal and various other bits, because I've started to experience some symptoms that were a little bit weird. So I had to kind of phone the surgeons about it and say, what's this all about? But apparently it's all normal. So,
Cool.
things to watch out for. But anyway, so that's me in a nutshell. And moving on from there, my weight has kind of relatively stayed stagnant or stayed the same. And I haven't gained anything. So
that's kind of the goal over this period, though, where you're not training as effectively as you wanted. So It's not a huge issue at the end of the day. Which is cool. So that's all good. So me and Vicky were sort of thinking about what we're going to discuss after our little updates today. And we thought that obviously this is the time of the year, especially for us coaches, it's quite busy. We're getting new clients, we're getting new people involved in our coaching. We thought that it was quite integral to discuss why and how you could potentially look for your coach and find a coach that works for you. Because I know that I personally have only had one coach in my entire career as an athlete, and that coach was great. He taught me a lot. I learned a lot, and looking back, obviously now I think whether he's coaching or not anymore, I'm not sure, but his services certainly are a lot different to how mine work, and thus coaching advances over time as people learn. But I know that Vicky's had more than a bunch of several coaching experiences, some good, some different, some potentially not so good, and that's the thing, you're not going to learn whether you potentially match with the coach perfectly until you actually get that coach. So in terms of when you've looked for a coach, Vicky, what would you say is the first thing that, like, without the hindsight of making some potentially bad coaching choices in the past, what would you say is the first thing that you looked for as an athlete when you were like, I'm really pumped to go and approach this coach and ask and see if they've got room to take me on? What would you say that first thing was?
Well, first of all, you just need to listen to the M&M podcast and either choose me or AJ. So, problem solved. But no, in all seriousness, when I first started off doing bodybuilding and I really needed that focus and things like that, I was so naive into how to find a coach. I literally just put out a little post in a bodybuilding group on Facebook.
Wow. Okay.
And said, I'm interested in doing this. Can anybody recommend a good coach? So it actually came from a recommendation from a bodybuilding group.
Great.
As such. So I was recommended to this coach, and they were okay. They weren't a bodybuilding specialist as such. They were more along the lines of like a body transformation person. So taking somebody from a really, really heavy weight and just making them lose weight. They didn't know the finer details. That's didn't know
negatives, right?
Exactly. Those are the negatives. So for me, that particular process didn't work. Then I met somebody who I was actually training in the gym, and he just came up and spoke to me and said, you've got a great a skeleton basically to add some lean tissue muscle onto and get a good frame. And I've never prepped a woman before, so can I prep you?
Sure.
And I was like, oh, okay. So again, he looked great. The physique looked amazing on him. He had experience in prepping people previously, but I was going to be his first woman. Now, realistically, that should have set off alarm bells, because all he did was prep me like a man and just ground me down. I mean, he was an actual athlete anyway, but he just ground me down to the point where I literally had nothing left. I mean, I just ate away my muscle tissue. I was down. It was the old school method, you know, just keep on taking calories away, keep on adding cardio. I was doing half an hour's worth of fasted, what's that bloody thing called? Not P90X. No. The HIIT program that everybody does in it'll come back to me. But anyway, I was doing that fasted like every other morning. And then I was doing fasted weight training as well. On the other mornings that I was doing it. Oh, Insanity, that's what I'm on about.
Oh, right. Jesus
right?
Christ.
Yeah, so half an hour to 45 minutes of Insanity, fasted every other morning, and then obviously fasted weight training. So you can imagine how much muscle tissue I just ate up. It was ludicrous. And I looked terrible on stage. I really, really did. So after that, and I got the feedback from the judges, I actually got so much hate from people saying that I looked ill and I looked anorexic and that I needed help and all the rest of it. So after that, I kind of thought, do you know what? I need to really kind of dig into the coaches if I'm going to have a coach, and really learn a little bit more about this whole process myself. So that's what I did. Obviously, I've been a PT for a very, very long time.
Sure.
But I just delved so much and threw myself into educating myself so much more, to the point where I knew so much more about nutrition in the first instance anyway, because I've been anorexic for such a long time. So I knew that what everything was in every amount of food, because I was so mentally on board with it. So that's what makes me so good at nutrition and designing plans that are perfect to the macro. So that was one thing that I had over a lot of coaches. Then I just started speaking to a lot of people in the industry, just reaching out to them, people like Alan Aragon, Philip Schofield, not him,
Brad Schoenfeld.
Brad Schoenfeld, thank you. That's so funny. I've been speaking to a puppet master about nutrition and meal timing. Fucking hell.
Did you ask Holly as well about?
Yeah. So I started speaking to lots of people. And obviously, I met you in 2015 as well. So we were having some back and forths and that kind of thing. And anyway, I finished up my competing.
That was when you transferred to like If It Fits Your Macros. I remember you asking me about flexible dieting back then.
Yeah, that was way back then, wasn't it?
Yeah, you were like, can I do this? I was like, yeah, you can.
Yeah, it's easy. Look, I'm eating a Magnum right now. When I decided to switch over to that, it was very interesting, because obviously all of the bro science was like, nah, you've got to eat clean. White potatoes are bad. You just have to eat sweet potatoes, and you have to only eat broccoli. And yeah, that was ridiculous, wasn't it? No. So when we spoke about If It Fits Your Macros, that was quite enlightening. And again, I did a lot more research into it, and I just kind of thought, right, I'm going to give it a try. But I automatically reduced my calories by 100, just to basically assume that because I'm eating junk, it's going to make up for that kind of deficit. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
But obviously it didn't, so, and that was really enlightening. And I understood the importance of obviously gaining weight. Then when I really looked into making some good progress in my off season in 2016. Everybody knows that I had a very well-known named coach who did teach me the importance of gaining weight in the off season. That was extremely important. And that's how I chose. Enough. And eating enough, exactly. And how I found him was he trained in the same gym as I did, and I saw the results that he put on stage. So the results spoke 1,000 words more than his processes. And his processes were brutal, like seriously brutal. And the mentality of that is basically how much do you want it? If you want it to that degree, you will do anything that you possibly can in order to get there. However, that process was detrimental to my health. The communication was lacking. There was no kind of personalization. And that's what made me just kind of think, right, do you know what? It's not worth it, because that just isn't the coach for me, because I need somebody who's going to be there when I have a little bit of a head wobble. If I can just pick up the phone and text them and say, this is what I need, then that's what I expect my coach to do, or I'd expect a response as soon as they're available. And if I need tweaks because I've injured my arm or whatever like that, or I've had surgery or, what have you, I'd need those tweaks on a weekly basis. And if that coach is not willing to do that for you, then in my eyes, that isn't coaching. It really, really isn't. All of my clients, and I'm sure it's the same with you as well, AJ, all of my clients have my personal phone number, and all of them are able to WhatsApp me whenever they need to. If they're having a head fuck, or if they've weighed in that morning and they're 6 pounds heavier, or, it's Christmas and they're like, oh my God, I'm having a panic about food now and everything else. I have a client
form checks, etc.
Form checks, absolutely. Yes, send me a video. Tell me how you're doing this glute bridge, because if you're not doing it properly, then you're not activating the correct muscle. And I did 150 kilo deadlift. No, you didn't.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah. Show me that video. Awesome, but video it next time, and then you see it and it's like, oh, holy crap. Yeah, take the weight off that. So, and it's that kind of thing that I would really say, delve into your coach. Don't just rush into it and just think, right, okay, I'm going to spend him a load of money because of the simple fact that I've seen this picture, that picture, this picture. Have a look at their processes. Speak to them. I mean, before I take any client on, I will have a half hour to 45-minute conversation with them to ensure that we will work well together. I'm a very, very dry, sarcastic, funny person to be around, and I will write on your training plans, go to failure on this hack squat, hold it in the hole for 2 seconds, try not to poo. And if you're not going to laugh at that, then you're probably not going to enjoy me as a coach.
Because, I'm the same. I wrote on a training program this morning, on a drop set, on a leg extension, I just put basically fuck your quads up.
Yeah, exactly, right? So you've got to have that. I mean, I love it, absolutely love it, when my clients send me pictures of themselves saying, thanks for this, Vic, fucking hate you. And it's like, brilliant, that's amazing, because it makes me feel like that client, I'm never ever going to take that message to heart and say, oh my God, what, you hate me? I'm going to find that funny as fuck. And if I can say that to you as well, it's like I had a client today who's lost like another pound this week, and that was her goal, and she hasn't managed to get below a certain weight in like ever.
Wow.
And she did it, and 2 weeks on the trot, she's lost a pound each week. So, I sarcastically replied back to her check-in saying, what, you mean to tell me that you've lost more weight?
Yeah.
And again, she just replies with this, lots of emoji funny faces, and she's like, I know, it's a fucking miracle, right? But it's that kind of thing that you want that personable relationship with a coach.
100%.
And it's like you, AJ, you only take on a certain amount of people every month.
Sure.
I'm the same. I have a cut-off limit, because as soon as I go over that limit, it stops being personable.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't like. The minute my coaching skills go wayward, or I cannot respond to your messages as soon as I can, then I know I've taken on too many clients, and then my service goes downhill. So I won't do that. But yeah, those are my Tiny M's top tips for choosing a coach, apart from listen to the podcast and choose me or AJ, because we're awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I think you covered it amazingly. I think speaking about your experiences is certainly more beneficial for the listeners, purely because you've had that experience of searching for a coach and trying to get the best one, and having some experiences which potentially not good, some experiences which are good. I think for the most part, every coach that you've worked with has been beneficial in some aspect.
Oh, yeah, I've learned from them.
Yeah, 100%, and that's something you can't take away. But the idea of finding someone that you really work well with, I think from what you've learned, sounds like the relationship that you need to build with a coach is that one of a relationship. It's actually something that should be, you should feel like you're their friend. You should feel like you can contact them. The days of contacting a coach and getting this 8-week program and just that's it, gone. Like, that's not coaching anymore. That's buying a program. It's completely different.
As bodybuilding.com.
Yeah, the amount of free information that you can get, like, you could do that all yourself. You don't necessarily need this sort of program that you could buy off someone. And this is why it sort of pains me to see when, like, you can tell, like, some Olympia athletes and IFBB pros that, like, they release these things and they're just, you can imagine the influx of people that they're getting. And you can imagine the personalization of that program to be very low. The thing that I love about some people, like you see obviously big coaches like Lane Norton, who realized that he couldn't coach the world. He released something like Avatar Nutrition, where it's quite clear to see that it is a personalized approach, but it's not him. It's not him anymore.
Yeah.
It's something completely different. And he's branded himself away from that. And obviously, he still coaches, but he's able to cap his numbers and keep Avatar. It's like, for me, when I got to the point where I had to start capping my numbers, I looked towards creating a member site where other people that maybe couldn't afford coaching at the moment could still see me and learn from me and ask questions. Essentially, if you're a very clued up member on my site, you could just continually ask questions and you coach yourself fairly effectively. But with things like contest prep and things like that, the coaching side of things, if you can't do it yourself, is absolutely essential in my eyes. If I almost, like, when I'm sending out welcome packs, I'm like, I wish I sometimes think to myself, I was like, I wish I could get a welcome pack like this, or I wish I could contact someone and know that they'd put in this amount of work, because there's plenty of coaches that I look at and I've thought about in the past, and I'm like, do I fancy just sort of like working with them for a bit to see what it's like and to see what I can learn? And it's something I may well do, but I just feel like I might be just disappointed. Because, me and you put in so much time, so much effort. I see the responses that your clients give to you. I see the responses that my clients give to me. I had a lot of new starters this week, and all the comments have been, this setup process is really, really cool. It's amazing. It's so personalized. You spend so much time on each individual, and I think one of the biggest things to take away from that point is look for a coach that definitely has some element of a cap on his numbers. I think that or her numbers, sorry, his or her numbers, and look at that coach's story. I think looking at their story is a big thing. Yeah, they might not be active on their story, but look at their story for like a week. So follow them for a week and look at what they do. If you see on their story really like mixed routines and like going out to like the shops every day and eating garbage food and just not doing anything that looks like a schedule and a routine and work. If you look at mine, if you follow mine or Vicky's or Steve at Revive Stronger or Pascal at Revive Stronger, if you look at our stories, follow us for a week, guarantee that week will look like ridiculously regimented. And that's because we have a schedule, we have a routine. Yes, we have downtime. You'll see that Vicky has downtime with her little ones, like all the time. They go on walks, etc. I have my downtime in the evening with little Dougie. Look for like a consistent routine with downtime included, and then I think you'll probably find a coach that really does put in the effort. I think that's probably like a tried and true recipe to really find out what people are doing. If your coach like just puts that whack on their story and like just looks like they're not really working at all, yes, they could be working in silence, but I think if you're an online coach, you usually speak about your work a lot.
Yeah,
You
definitely.
usually show what you're doing because you're passionate about doing it and you want to show it and you want to share it. So I think that's really important. Just follow your coach for a bit and get to learn whether you feel like you're on a level with them.
And I think that's really good as well, because the last few, I've had 4 new starters set up for this week,
Amazing.
and when they came on board with me, I think 3 out of the 4 of them actually said, "I've been following you for a while now,"
Great. Yeah,
and I love
perfect.
that. And it's like, if you can say that in your email when you come to apply for coaching, and you say, "I've been following you for a while now, and I like what you do, or I enjoy your process," or whatever like that,
Uh-huh.
then damn right I will book in a thing and speak to you. However, if you turn around to me and send me a message and say, "Do you do online coaching?" I'm going to be like, okay, so you have no idea, or you don't follow me, or you don't have an
Yeah,
idea of what I
I
actually
don't
do.
respond to those messages, Vicky, because
No.
the thing is, if someone asks me whether that I do coaching, that's it. You're perfectly correct. They don't have a fucking clue who I am.
Yeah.
They haven't spent 1 minute looking at what I
Mm-mm.
do. The best people that I've ever taken on board are people that ask literally nothing. Why? Because they know me.
Yeah.
They actually know how my coaching works.
Mm.
Most of the time they don't really ask a price. They just say, "Have you got space?"
Yeah.
um, and those are the people that I know I'm going to work really really well with, because they just know it by the book.
Exactly.
Um,
That's another thing, actually. Don't just choose a coach based on their physique.
yeah,
Because anybody can get themselves into shape. It's very, very easy for somebody who's in the industry to get themselves into shape. And that's what I found, where people were coming to me saying, "Do you do online coaching?" They were literally just having a look at my physique shots on stage. And that's
not
probably
good.
the same with you.
Yeah,
Um, you
yeah.
know, and it's like I always say to people when they say, "You've got a great physique, do you do online coaching?" I sometimes reply to them and say, "Would you trust a man in a white coat and just assume that he's a doctor?"
Can you do
Right?
heart surgery? It's like
Exactly.
uh, I've had some people contact me. I've had some young guys contact me saying, "I want to be WMBF junior champion, world
Mm.
junior champion." I'm like, no, like
Yeah.
no, like you don't understand what that takes.
Mm.
Um, just because I've done it doesn't mean that I can coach you to do it. It's down to them at the end of the day. It's what I said on
Mm.
my YouTube video the other day. I was like, every person that I put on stage this year is a small percentage me, the most part them.
Yeah, absolutely.
If they are successful, yes, some of the elements of the right nutrition, the right training protocol, and the check-ins and all that jazz took them there, but they decided to get there.
Yeah.
And that's why it also fucks me off royally when someone doesn't do well at a show, and then people think, okay, well that coach is crap.
Yeah.
No fucking way. It doesn't necessarily mean that. It
Mm.
could mean that. Could mean that. Could
Yeah.
quite definitely mean that. If they don't place well and they could have looked 10 times better, some of the coaching elements of that could have a role. But for the most part, it's probably not that. It's probably the client.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's why it's so important. You have to, if you don't have a coach that you can be accountable to,
Yeah.
that's where you're going to fall wayward. You've got to feel like you can be accountable to that person. So, and that doesn't mean in the things that you do, but it's also in the things that you don't do as well.
Yeah.
So, like, if you don't eat all of your calories one day, and you don't say that to your coach, and they manipulate your calories or make changes as, according to your check-in, but you haven't eaten all your calories that week and haven't disclosed that, that is going to fuck up the process.
Game over. Yeah.
Yeah, if your coach thinks that you're eating 3,000 calories a day and you've lost weight, because you haven't actually been eating 3,000 calories a day, so they decide to increase it if you're in a gaining phase or whatever, and they have no idea where you're at, and you've got to stick to it, and you've got to adhere to it, because you are accountable to the changes that your coach is going to make. So that's really important. And that, I think, as well, comes down to trust both ways.
Yeah.
I trust every single one of my clients, whether they're a general fat loss client or whether they are a physique athlete, in prep for stage. I trust every single one of them. And then when they come back to me and they say, right, well, I haven't lost weight this week, and I haven't done this week, and blah, blah, and it doesn't quite marry up, I'm going to ask questions and say, well, actually, have you adhered to this? Let's take a step back. Where I had one girl who literally was absolutely adamant she was sticking to everything that I told her to do, and she wasn't losing weight. She was actually gaining weight.
Sure.
And I said, it's a physical impossibility. It just won't happen. So let's take a step back and let's have a look at everything that you're doing. We found out that she was putting on 2 tablespoons of mayonnaise on 3 of her meals.
Oh, fuck. Oh, dear.
But didn't actually didn't think.
It's just sauce.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I see you using condiments. Nah, I don't use full fat mayonnaise, babe.
Oh, fuck.
So, I mean, we did have a giggle about it afterwards, and I said, if you want to use mayo, then, track it, cap it, use the lighter than light stuff rather than like the full fat Heinz
calories
job.
away on that crap. God damn
mayo,
it.
yeah. So it's that kind of thing. And if you actually, oh my God, the other one, if you write on your plan, I had a coffee at lunchtime, make sure that it's a black coffee or a coffee with some almond milk or coconut milk or whatever in it like that.
Costa Christmas special.
Exactly, right? Please do not say that you just had a coffee at lunchtime and it is a double mocha chocolate chip frappuccino with whipped cream and a flake. Mate, that is not coffee. That is a freaking ice cream sundae, right? And it has got about 600 calories in it. So, yes, that does count towards your intake.
Just a little.
Oh, and all of these beautiful new coffees that like the toffee nut lattes and things like that. Yeah, they're like
crap
500
anyway.
calories.
You can make a better like protein shake than that.
I know, right? Honestly, it's mental stuff. So yeah, but make sure that you can find a coach that you can be accountable to. And if you are going to have the double mocha frappuccino thing with whipped cream and flake sundae, tell your coach that's what you had. Because
honestly.
because that could make a really big difference, significant difference on your scale weight as well.
Big whack in the scale weight, yeah.
Yeah, even if you counted it in your calories, you know what it's like. It might not make a difference in your weight, but it might make a look in how you look.
Yeah, fucking awful will be the look, I reckon.
Yeah, exactly. We spoke about this when you were eating a load of junk in your off season last time, and did like a full blown, I'm going to have ice cream every night. Yeah, the bloated face, the watery filmness.
A year ago today, a memory popped up of me and Luke Johnson on a podcast. I might share it a bit. Wow, we were both really fat at that point.
Yeah.
Luke hadn't started dieting yet, and by the looks of it, neither had I.
No.
My face filled the screen. I was strong.
That's amazing. You were definitely living up to your name of Big M.
I was. I do like feeling strong though, and I certainly will be getting there progressively. Because the progression that I've on a bit of a tangent, but the progression that I've seen in my training recently is reminding me how much I love eating enough.
Right.
Because it's just like squatting and it feeling really good. I haven't felt like that for like 6 months. It's ridiculous.
Oh, wicked.
And actually chasing progression in a session rather than just looking to retain numbers. It's very exciting. It's why I love training, to be honest. And it's fueling me up again. But yeah, I think we'll leave it there, guys. I think that's been a good episode. I think we discussed everything we wanted to discuss on the coaching. Should we do our usual picture for anyone that's watching on YouTube? All right, cool.
I'm going to give extra points for panda ears. If you can get panda ears in, you get extra points and an M&M badge.
And an M&M badge. Okay, cool.
An M&M badge.
3, 2, 1. Okay, cool.
Okay.
Amazing.
I want to do it. So if you get the panda ears in, please hashtag panda. And then so I'll be able to see them.
And remember, guys, if you're just listening on the podcast app, sorry about the last time I uploaded it in video format on the SoundCloud, so it was like a 3 gigabyte download.
Whoa, yeah.
Fucked up so many people's phones. So sorry about that. I will make sure that doesn't happen again. If you are listening, just screenshot the podcast, tag us both in it, tell us what you're doing. Tag us in your power lifts. If you start doing a power list, that'll be really cool. Start tagging us and we can start getting that rolling for 2018. And in the comment section on YouTube, if you're listening on YouTube, whack in like just one goal that you want to smash in 2018. Put it in the comment box on this video, and then I want you to check it again. We'll ask people to come back and check it at the end of the 2018 and see if they've crushed it.
That'd be a really good idea, actually. I like that.
If you're on YouTube or if you're on the podcast app and you're like, okay, I can get on a laptop later, just whack it on the comment section and that'll be cool.
Just before we wrap up, just so people are aware, have you got any more coaching spaces for this month?
Not this month. Next time is Feb.
Okay.
So yeah,
That's cool.
in terms of anyone interested for coming on board, if you are looking to prep this year and you're listening to the podcast and you're like, I'd really like to use Team MBM or AJ, contact me now,
Yeah.
and I can make some potential shift some things around. But in terms of sort of like off season, general coaching, that the next ones will be sort of actually mid Feb.
Mid-Feb.
Mid Feb, yeah. So I'm just sort of cooling off now from
Yeah.
the train of people coming in that starting on the 8th. So
That's it. Cool.
what
So
about yourself, Vicky? Are you looking to take on board any more people? Obviously, you've had your fair train of people come through recently.
yeah, I
What's things
have.
looking
I
like?
have. I have 2 spaces left for online coaching. That is it.
Okay, cool.
So after that, the next intake will probably be end of Feb, maybe probably beginning of
March.
March. But again, if you are looking to prep this year, then we're talking about obviously later on, then please contact me now as well,
Yeah.
because I need to see where your starting point is, which is very, very important. I've got girls who are coming to me saying that they've got a show in 12 weeks,
Not good.
and no, I just won't take them on.
Yeah,
I'm
good.
sorry, I just won't take you on because I haven't worked with you in the off season. I don't know what your body is like. I like to have at least 3 to 4, or realistically, 3 to 4 months off season coaching with you, so I understand how your body works before we even think about starting prep. And if you come to me 12 weeks out from a show thinking that you only have like £5 to lose, I'm very sorry, you are going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
So do contact us now in regards to that. But yeah, like I said, 2 more spaces and then I'm done until the next intake.
Cool. Wicked. All right.
All right.
We'll leave it there, guys. Any questions as usual, please ask. And we'll chat soon. We'll see you in the next one.
Cool beans. Love you
In a
lots.
bit. Bye. Love you.
Bye.